ছোটবেলায় আকাশ ছুঁয়ে দেখতে চাইতাম আমরা। আমাদের ছোটবেলায় নভোচারী হওয়ার স্বপ্ন দেখত অনেকে। আমি নিশ্চিত এখন যাদের ছোটবেলা তারাও মহাজাগতিক সেই মহাকাশ ছুঁয়ে দেখতে চায়, কিন্তু সৌভাগ্য হয় কজনের? কারো কারো হয়। তার একজন আজ আমাদের সঙ্গে, জোসেফ আকাবা, মহাকাশ সংস্থা নাসার প্রধান নভোচারী। আজ কথা হবে তার সঙ্গে চ্যানেলের বিশেষ সাক্ষাৎকারে। Mr. Acaba, welcome to our show. Our special show and very special person. I'm just wondering that you were a school teacher. My first question is, can you please share your journey from being a teacher to becoming a NASA astronaut? And what inspired you to take on such a challenging and extraordinary career? And if I may add something, what advice would you give Bangladeshi students who dream of pursuing a career in space science or engineering maybe?
All right, well, it's very nice to be here with you today. And my journey to becoming an astronaut is not very traditional. My background is in geology, so study of the earth. And like you said, before I joined NASA, I was a school teacher, teaching 7th and 8th grade students math and science. And I loved the job. I thought I would be in that job forever. As you know, teachers, that is the most important profession, I believe, getting our students ready. None of us would be here today without our teachers. And so I was teaching, and I heard in 2003 that NASA was looking to open up the astronaut office and begin accepting school teachers and using that teaching experience as professional experience like all of the other astronauts that we have. And so for the first time in many years, NASA recognized the importance of the teaching profession and wanted to hire 3 educators. And so out of a large pool of applicants, I was one of the 3 that were selected in 2004. So went from being in a classroom teaching students, and now I'm here working at NASA, and I've been here for over 20 years, and now serving as the chief of the astronaut office. So I think I did okay, and I think it showed that the teaching profession is, it's a serious profession. They develop good leaders, and being a teacher definitely gave me skills to become an astronaut. And in terms of what inspired me to become an astronaut, so when I was very young, the Apollo mission was happening in the United States. And so, as you know, we were sending astronauts to the moon. And my grandfather, even though he didn't have any education, was very interested in science. And so he had film of the astronauts walking on the moon. And it was just incredible. And I think that was where the seed was planted that kind of inspired me. And then as I continued with my education, reading science fiction books about just all the possibilities that are out there, I think that's what motivated me, so that when I saw this opportunity, I went ahead and applied.
Any advice for the Bangladeshi students?
So I was very fortunate that I was able to spend some time with local students, and it was amazing. The students were super smart. They had great questions, and we talked about becoming an astronaut or any of the fields in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And my advice to them was to find something that you love. Find something you can be passionate about. It doesn't matter what field it is, and even if it's not in the STEM, find something that you feel strongly about and work hard, keep studying that, and opportunities will arise. When I received my education, the different jobs that I had, I didn't know that was going to lead me to become an astronaut, but it opened the door to opportunities. So that's the advice that I would give them. And we're seeing a lot of advancement in access to space. And so who knows what opportunities they will have. but they should prepare themselves today for those opportunities.
And what was the idea behind, hiring a school teacher or the educator to the NASA team?
Yeah, so back in 1980s, we had what was called the Teacher in Space program, and that was when NASA was going to hire a teacher to go to space, do one mission, and then come back and share that experience with students around the world. And that teacher was Krista McAuliffe, and she was selected. Unfortunately, there was the shuttle accident that she was a part of, and that crew did not make it. And so at that point, that program stopped, and then you advance almost 20 years later, and NASA felt that it was important to look at the teaching profession and show that teachers are as valuable as the engineers, the doctors, the pilots. And instead of just hiring a teacher for only one mission, they wanted to hire somebody who could stay and become a full-time astronaut. And when you think about educators, what are they good at? They're good at interacting with students, sharing the story, bringing things to life. And so I think teachers make great astronauts.
That's great. As a person with Latin American heritage, if I'm not wrong, and with a background in geology, as you already have said, you have shown that astronauts can come from diverse backgrounds. Do you think there are unique challenges or maybe advantages for the students from countries like Bangladesh when it comes to the question of pursuing a career in a STEAM subject or STEM fields? And if so, then how can they overcome those challenges related to be an astronaut?
Yeah, so diversity is extremely important. We talk about diversity a lot, and it can be diversity from your ethnic diversity. It could be socioeconomic. Where did you come from? It could be where you studied, what you studied. And when you have a diverse team, you have a stronger team. And so diversity is not just a word that we use. It truly has value. And so, my career path was a little bit different, like we had talked about. And, I hope that when students see me, they see someone, that looks like them, that had a similar background. So when they see that, they're inspired to go, you know what, if Joe can do that, maybe I can do that. And so when I was here today and shared my story, and I looked out at the hundreds of students, we talked about diversity and the opportunities that will be out there for them. And when you look at the Artemis Accords and the Artemis program, it is a group of countries that are working together to get us to the moon and off to Mars. And so I think that your students are going to have opportunities as more and more countries become part of the program, because it's that collaboration that is going to help us make these huge advancements. There's a saying that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, we go together. And so we need a diverse team, and I hope that your students can be a part of that.
My next question is, can you share some of the most exciting moments or discoveries you have had during your space missions that might inspire our young people, students here, who to pursue scientific research? And how did it change your perspective on life or maybe humanity?
So going to space is very exciting. The whole journey from launch to the first time you get on orbit and you begin to float, the first time that you look back and see our beautiful planet, the first time you go out and do a spacewalk where you're outside of the space station, the first time you land on a spaceship and you go through the atmosphere, all of that is exciting. It's just amazing. And so I do enjoy sharing that with students, and just sharing what that whole process is like, I think motivates them.
Okay. And the role of an astronaut is often romanticized for me. But space travel also comes with significant challenges if I'm not wrong. I mean, obviously, there must be some challenges. What are the biggest physical and mental challenges you face during your missions? I mean, if you can say with examples, that would be
Sure.
better.
So the human body is amazing. We can adapt to all types of environments, but when you first get to space and now you're in this microgravity environment, two major things happen. One, all of the fluid in your body begins to shift. Okay. And if you ever see astronauts when they first get to space, their head looks a little bit, puffy. It looks a little bit expanded, and it's not because, they're astronauts and their heads get bigger. It is a biological process that is happening. And so if you can imagine standing on your head against the wall for a period of time, that pressure that you would feel on your head, that's what we experience when we first get to space. But then you get rid of some of that fluid, whether it's the water, the amount of blood that you have in your system. So it equalizes so that pressure lessens. So that's one thing that we experience. The other one is what we call space adaptation sickness. And our balance has to do with the little hairs inside of in our ears and the ear canal area, and that's what provides us balance. And when you get to space, now instead of having gravity push those down, they're floating, and so your sense of balance is off a little bit. A lot of us may get sick for the first day or two, so that's the non-romantic side of being an astronaut. But again, the body adapts very, very quickly. And then we have to conduct a lot of exercises while we are up in space to help us when we return.
In that case, I have an additional question. What key qualities or maybe skills make an astronaut successful? I mean, how can Bangladeshi students develop their traits from the very early age?
So, again, diversity is what helps the team, and so I think your students, they are going to provide a very unique perspective, and so astronauts come from a variety of backgrounds, and so I think, again, for your students, find a field, and currently we look for people that have a career or a school in the STEM fields. Okay. And so I would tell them to do that, and just their life experience, where they came from, how they solve problems. You have students here working with some NASA competitions, and they've won numerous times. And why do they win? It's because they do have a unique perspective. And I think they're going to have a lot of opportunities in the future.
Well, you're talking about the Bangladeshi students. Bangladeshi students often aspire to work in fields like space exploration. I mean, that was, in fact, it was my dream as well. What advice would you give to young people here who dream of becoming an astronaut or working with the organization like NASA?
So the biggest advice I would give them is don't give up hope, follow your dreams, because you don't know what is going to be there. But the most important thing you can do is to get that education. And it has opened up many doors for me. So do as much education as you can. And where we are right now, we are at a very specific point in time where space is becoming more accessible. And there may be limitations now for your students to get to space, but things are starting to improve, whether it could be in the commercial field. We have a lot of commercial partners. We're seeing a lot more private astronauts go to space. And so prepare mentally and be ready for that opportunity when it shows up.
Well, STEAM, you are talking about the STEAM, and STEAM education is critical for a future in space exploration, as you said. What steps can students take today to build a strong foundation in STEAM subjects?
Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities, at the school I saw today, opportunities for students at a very young age to study in the STEM fields. I would also encourage them to get involved with programs, like we talked about some of the NASA programs where the students are doing computer programming to solve real life problems, that things that we are trying to solve going back to the moon and to Mars. And so look for those opportunities, and never think, oh no, that can never happen for me. That's too hard. And so the more experience you can gain, I think is really going to help them.
Okay. Satellite technology plays a crucial role in monitoring climate change, disaster management and communications. How can Bangladesh, with its vulnerability to natural disaster and climate change, leverage satellite technology to improve the lives of its citizens?
Yeah, so that's a great point, that we can use the satellite technology to help life here on Earth. And part of what we do on the space station is to improve life on Earth. And NASA does have a lot of programs where we are working with countries around the world to share satellite data to help us plan, maybe where we build, where's the best place to go, what do we anticipate with sea level rise, and where we might want to avoid putting new homes. And so that satellite technology, it's not just there to gather data, it is there for us to use that data to improve life here on Earth. And it could either be perhaps with sea level. We've also done work with farmers and taking images of the Earth to help them regulate how much water they should use to make that more efficient, to reduce the number of pesticides. So lots of opportunities there.
Well, you were talking about the opportunities. What opportunities do you see for Bangladesh to partner with NASA in the future, especially in areas like satellite technology, as you said, or space science?
I think there are lots of opportunities there, and NASA is very open to working with countries from around the world. We talked a little bit about the Artemis Accords, getting countries to come up with some guidelines, some principles that everybody believes in, so that we can use space safely and be very productive with the space exploration. And so, I would encourage that collaboration to continue. And again, having, your country working with NASA is something that, we would love to do. And there are opportunities that are available.
And also Bangladesh have satellite there in the space. Maybe
excellent.
Another collaboration maybe?
Yeah,
with the satellite launching and all?
And that's where these partnerships are super important, because it's that collaboration. It's the data that you're collecting, how can we use that? The data we're collecting, how can we share with you? And it really is, that partnership is all about collaboration. And so I appreciate the work that you all are doing now, and I think that's great.
Okay. Well, as an astronaut, you have experienced things that most of us, only can dream of. What keeps you motivated to continue inspiring the next generation of scientists, engineers, or maybe explorers?
So it is great being an astronaut. The job is exciting. If you look at my career, I have over 300 days in space, but I've been an astronaut for 20 years. And so a really small percentage of my career is actually in space. And so what motivates me, probably two things that motivate me. One of them is knowing that the work that I am doing, the science on the International Space Station, is really helping humanity. It's, the work we are doing now, we're going to build on that to make the world a better place. But the second thing that inspires me goes back to my previous job of being a school teacher and going out and meeting with students. What I told them today is, many of them said, "Oh, thank you for coming here, you inspired me." But what I told them is, they inspired me. They motivate me. They make me want to continue to do what I do, to share my story, because, they're going to be the future. You and I were, we're getting a little bit older, and, when we talk and we share stories like this, we're motivating them, and they are our future. And I think our future is in very good hands.
Yeah, we were talking about the NASA's Artemis program. And with NASA's Artemis program aiming to take human back to the moon and eventually to Mars, What role do you see young people, especially from the developing nations like Bangladesh, playing in the future of space exploration?
So I think countries like Bangladesh and others, they do have a big role, and it is a partnership that I think both NASA and these countries will benefit from. And so I hope that we continue to discuss that. Not only is it the opportunities for us to collaborate and to share the specific skill sets that we have, but to inspire our students. Our students are going to be inspired by yours, and I hope yours as well. And it's that partnership that is going to provide opportunities for all of our students.
What message would you like to give to the Bangladeshi students who are passionate about space science?
Well, my biggest message would be find something that you really love to do, work really hard, and sometimes it's easy to say, I don't have opportunities, I don't have, the greatest schools here, and it's easy to come up with excuses on why you might not do well. But I would tell them to take advantage of the different opportunities at your school, at your community. There are a lot of people that want to help you be successful. So, dream big, reach for the stars, follow your dreams, and great opportunities are going to be there for you.
Thank you on behalf of Channel I team and all.
You are very welcome, and thank you for the invitation and giving me an opportunity to interact with you and everybody that's watching today. Thank you.
দর্শক, এতক্ষণ কথা বলছিলাম যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের মহাকাশ গবেষণা সংস্থা নাসার প্রধান নভোচারী জোসেফ আকাবার সঙ্গে। তিনি শোনাচ্ছিলেন স্কুল শিক্ষক থেকে তিনি কিভাবে নভোচারী হয়ে উঠলেন, একই সঙ্গে পরামর্শ দিচ্ছিলেন বাংলাদেশের তরুণ প্রজন্মকে কিভাবে তাদের স্বপ্নের পথে হাঁটবেন। আজকের মতো এ পর্যন্তই। ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন।